Okay, I'm going to record now. Okay. All right. Okay, welcome everyone for the Voice of 209. We're having a couple of guests here discuss about the protest for the Center for the Blind. I have here Jennifer Gass, who is want to discuss more in detail what's been happening. So go ahead, Jennifer Gass.
Okay, thank you, Doug, for allowing us to come on your show today to share more about the problems and concerns we're hoping to have addressed at Community Center for the Blind and Visually Impaired. I'm a community advocate with an umbrella movement we started called Stockton Blind Alliance. That is, our goal is to improve the Blind Center here in Stockton and services, equality, and opportunity for the blind of the greater San Joaquin Valley. So I have with me today Bob Cole, Miguel Venegas, and Lisa Rodriguez, who are also members of this organization. So this movement came out of a need to address problems that have been going on, I would say, for decades, but they've just been spiraling worse and worse over the last few years. We originally had a blind center down at 130 Flora Street, West Flora Street in Stockton, that Myrtle Stevens Clark, as far as we had always been told, gave as a restricted donation to permanently house the blind and blind services. We had a fully functional training kitchen, studio apartment set up, a huge hall that could be used for events and activities, a backyard. Many local service groups, individuals had put sweat, labor, money, and tears into this building, and it was a great place, for people to take classes or socialize or learn and bond together and mentor each other about blindness. So there were issues with the operations manager at that time. There's always been, a lack of professionalism, and at different times over the years, worse treatment than at other times. But the blind have not been included. The blind have not been allowed to have a voice and be an integral part of this organization. And this has become more and more apparent over the years. Several of our members have tried to be on the board of directors. Several of us have worked there as employees, but were driven out by the toxic environment, not allowed to advance, not allowed to thrive, not allowed to mentor and reach out to other people. So we finally had to start protesting when the director who took over from that operations manager decided she wanted to sell that building. That was the great place for the blind, because she had safety concerns. She wanted to move to a North Stockton office.
Jennifer,
yeah?
who is the director you're referring to? Because who is the director?
So the previous director's name was Michelle Galvan, and she's the one who made the decision to get the board of directors to sell our old building. She wanted to move us to a North Stockton office. So she did this in 2016.
Okay.
And that building that was bought and paid off sat unused, getting broken into by the homeless from then until 2020, as we, as an organization, threw away thousands of dollars a month renting this North Stockton office, which was cramped, inadequate, which clients didn't want to go to. You couldn't make noise because it was surrounded by law offices. There was no space to do activities. If they want to do fundraisers or events, they would have to go rent spaces because there was no space here. And it really wasn't inclusive of the community and family and friends of the blind as the other place had been. So when Michelle got her way and made this move, several clients protested because she wouldn't listen. And the board of directors was walled off from us forever. You couldn't approach them. And instead of listening to the concerns, Michelle called the police on those peacefully protesting blind clients and still insisted on moving the building. Now, we continually in the new building asked for the status of the Florist Street building. And we were told that, you know, when things got better, when downtown improved a little, we would be moving back. This was only temporary. And then finally, June 8th, 2021, we asked the question a final time at an open annual meeting. And we were told it was sold in January of 2020. As anyone who looks online can tell, that's not transparency. That's not accountability. And that is not including the blind in the decision. This new building has no community. There's no blind people in there now. They're still shut down from the pandemic. They're still mistreating people. And I have others today that can share more about this, and then I can fill in some more later as time allows.
So
So-
what you're thinking about that the new director is just copying what the old director is doing like a puppet and mistreating the client as well as the staff. It's no comparison of what the toxic environment that it's like a puppet on there, right?
Right. So I left that part of the story out. So finally, we started going public in August of 2021 with a letter to the record editor. That director, Michelle, we don't know why, we weren't told why, quit in October of 2021. And the director of client services, who is someone we repeatedly brought concerns to the board about because of her treatment of clients, her lack of professionalism, we said, we do not want this person working here at all. And she continually, as we spoke of the abuses, as we spoke of the instances, was promoted instead of being disciplined. We never had apologies. And over our objections, they pushed that person, now Elsie, into the position of executive director. And the saga continues because she, under that board president that's been president over 12 years, the operations manager, Bonnie, the director, Michelle, and now Elsie, continue with the same conceited, arrogant, and demeaning mindset that the blind should not be allowed to have a say in how a center is run. And you will be intimidated, shut down, and blocked out of the process if you dare to speak up. So
Okay.
one of the people I met out of this is fortunately a great man, but he was the last casualty. The Blind Center has lost 5 staff in the last year, and he is one of them, and he can tell you more about his recent experience there. And that's Bob.
Okay, Bob, you're next.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes. Jennifer, can
Okay,
you mute, please? Go ahead, Bob.
so my name is Bob Cole. I am a full-time single dad of 2 boys residing in Modesto. I was born with a condition known as microphthalmia, which left my left eye useless and my right eye with an acuity of 20/1000. I worked really hard growing up in school, went and earned an associate's in computer information systems, and found that discrimination in the workplace for someone who is blind or otherwise disabled it still happens. I have kind of a complex problem both between Department of Rehabilitation and CCBVI, but I'll keep this to CCBVI, Community Center for the Blind and Visually Impaired, for the sake of this. I was given a proposal from my Department of Rehabilitation counselor, which involved applying for an assistive technology instructor position at CCBVI. This was in September of last year. And at that point in time, I wasn't the type of person to stand up for myself. Living in Modesto, I knew that the transportation was going to be difficult. I was willing to relocate for work if it was an environment that was going to be conducive to better quality of life for my kids and I. But I was hired on at CCBVI. I did not have any certifications with assistive technologies such as JAWS, Zoom Text, or NVDA. but within a month's time or so, I did earn those certifications. I had spent a lot of my time volunteering and helping people. And within the first month, I saw the abusive characteristics of the environment. I watched a coworker of mine uh, actively belittled in front of me by Elsie, of whom Jennifer has spoken. And Elsie had spoken about this and this coworker, as well as others on the staff, behind their backs in my presence and in the presence of some others. I did not agree with it. Um, I'm trying to keep points here, so the morale of the staff was very low there. The staff, there was no encouraging of camaraderie between the staff, which is very important in a healthy organization. I specifically and personally was told that I should probably only talk to Elsie and Sarah, who was over human resources. Never had a problem with Sarah. I want to just make that clear. But I was encouraged to only talk to them about personal matters. There's a lot that's going on and is going on in my life, and that I shouldn't trust talking to other employees because they're, according to her, not trustworthy, like they are. So there was a sowing of distrust. Um, as time went on, I was also facilitating the support groups, and someone in the support group had uh, expressed concerns against the center that were not positive, and I didn't know what to do because it did cause a bit of a disruption in the support group. I was still relatively new, so I spoke with Elsie about it. Uh, to which she responded that if that ever happens, what I need to do is give the name of the person who spoke badly about the center and what they said, document it, and specifically email it to her. I did that once, and my conscience hit me very hard. And I promised myself I would never do it again. I was concerned I would get in trouble. This was my first job in 21 years. And I wanted to do the right thing. And I realized that the right thing is dictated by my conscience and not by someone else. I loved the work that I did. I loved having the ability to help others, to see that there were things that they could do in spite of their vision loss, show them that they could use their phones, their computers. I don't know if I mentioned, but was hired as an assistive technology instructor there. And I saw clients belittled, those who would attend the support group. I was told by Elsie that at one point that I would have to kind of dumb down my words, not use bigger words because the people who attend the support group are simple. And I did not come to that conclusion after speaking with them. They were people who just wanted a place to come to and laugh.
Bob,
Yes.
do you mean that Elsie was directing you that some of the consumer wasn't intelligent enough for you to just speak to him, speak to them as you were training them to learn about computer and other stuff?
No, this was actually in this particular situation involved the support group.
Okay.
Now, when it came to clients who I was training, she would refer to some of them as high maintenance. Uh, Literally speaking, they were not high maintenance. They were actually very driven, but they were belittled and referred to as high maintenance because they had questions. One client went without training for about a month and a half because there were supposed problems with her um, her authorizations, but Department of Rehab said that her authorization was sent to CCBVI. And I was not the one with authority to process the authorization and go on with the training. So I was told not to train this individual. And because of the lack of training, it set her back. She missed out on her job opportunity because of this. And when she had confronted Elsie about it, Elsie treated her like she was, treated her like she was not worth her time. And behind the backs of the clients, that's the way that it was. On another note, I would take Lyft because I couldn't find another form of transportation up there for the first while. I was going up once a week. Elsie eventually wanted me to go up twice a week. It was roughly $80 to $100 round trip. That came out of my wages. And at one point, I was told that that was the sacrifice that I would have to make for the privilege of having a job as a blind person. That sometimes you have to make sacrifices for work. I was working remotely when I was there. There wasn't really much that I did outside of working remotely. There are other instances that I had as an employee, which ultimately culminated in the stress levels getting to the point at which I had to take an ambulance to the hospital on March 25th because of signs that were consistent with a mini stroke. I was not diagnosed with a mini stroke, but the signs were consistent. It took place on the Lyft ride home on Friday, March 25th. About an hour and a half after I returned home here in Modesto, I had my kids situated and picked up by their mom. And by the time that the ambulance arrived at my home, remember, about an hour and a half after returning, my blood pressure was 216 over 100. I watched as clients and staff were talked about and mistreated. I watched the lack of ethics, the lack of professionalism. I tried to do my best there because the clients deserve to be treated like humans. They deserve to be treated with respect. It was stated that the client should be put first, but when Elsie wanted something from me, she would have me cancel out on the client and switch the calendar out for something that was more important. I was told to treat friends of board members with special treatment, which I refused to do. I believe in being courteous and kind and giving my fullest effort to everyone. In the end of this, I found that a former client of mine was told by my Department of Rehab counselor that the reason I was no longer working there was because my communication was poor and that my reports were poor. And evidently, from what I've heard, Elsie has said the same to others. And so not only has she trashed clients, trashed staff, but she has taken steps to ruin what reputation I had from my first job with lies. It is not a healthy not a healthy place. The word community does not belong on the sign. They mistreat people, clients who are truly driven as those who are losing their sight or otherwise, visually impaired. They're driven to get better in their lives, are referred to as high maintenance. They're talked down to. Their concerns are dismissed. There's a lot that I could say, but I don't want to take up all the time here. All I can say is that the staff there, the staff that I had gotten to know while I was there, not speaking of managerial, they truly did care about the clients who they served. They wanted to see their clients succeed, just like I did. But the staff was also being, in my opinion, emotionally and psychologically abused by management. But because many of us had visual conditions, we were just supposed to be grateful with the crumbs that we were given and deal with it. It was
Right.
more on the side of exploitation as opposed to a healthy work environment. It was not a cohesive work environment. It was a place where everything was hush hush. It was a place where employees were discouraged from getting to know one another or talk to one another. It was a place where there was a lot of fear. Yes, yes, yes. Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. How was it the volunteer get the response? Was the staff and Elsie with disrespecting the volunteer? Because I know it's a nonprofit. Did they get their parental treatment the same way that you guys have, and to the staff as well as consumer as well?
Um, I don't know whether there were volunteers there. I do know that they did have an administrative assistant there, really sweet lady.
Mhm.
However, after she vacated her position, I don't know the story behind it. I came in to hear Elsie just griping and complaining and saying that the administrative assistant who was there wasn't doing her job. But when I was there physically in the office, she was taking care of everything. And so
So
it
in
was
other
always,
words, she was more controlling of the situation, the staff, the
yes,
consumer. So she's
yes,
merely making all the decision making, but not really discussing with other staff that are social worker or things that were related to what they call protocol, right?
if she was, it was hush hush.
Gotcha.
Yes. And
That's a very scary one because to me, at the vice president of the San Joaquin Board of Education, I wouldn't see any of my students who are blind in the county, or not even with Stockton Blind School District, go into this situation with the Center of the Blind and having this treatment and get their and not getting their education and hoping that they're stretching the truth and putting in that environment shouldn't do that. You know what I mean? So I
correct.
totally agree with what you're saying. Like, it's kind of scary that it took a long time for this particular this situation had happened for too long. So thank you, Bob.
You're very welcome.
I'm gonna go ahead and have Miguel speak up. Go ahead, Miguel.
Can you guys hear me? With my volume.
Speak up a little bit, but we can still hear you.
You guys hear me now, or how's that?
Perfect.
Sorry, I don't know if my microphone. So yeah, I'm Miguel Venegas. I work for a school district in the San Joaquin County, and I just have had some really bad experiences with the center, and our youth have as well. They actually tried getting me fired for speaking up. I had sent a letter to the center sharing my concerns, my disappointments. I also gave them ideas of what they could be doing for our local community and for our youth. And I also let them know that I was, planning on, filing a complaint for some other things that had taken place, which I can share about in a little bit. But once I sent that letter, about 2-3 weeks later, they me or they sent it to me, and they also sent it to my supervisors at my workplace. They made false claims about my letter. They said I was threatening them, I was bullying them, and again, I was sharing all these different ideas. I mean, they probably saved the letter. I gave them so many ideas of what they could have been doing or what they can be doing for the community. But they went ahead and did that, and of course, I was, I was a little scared at first, but Jen and I, we looked. I mean, she went over the letter with me, and there was nothing of a, bullying nature or threatening tone in my letter to them. But they went ahead and just tried to do something to keep me quiet. They wanted to scare me. They wanted me to make sure I didn't speak up again. But yeah, so they tried getting me fired by doing that, sending that letter to my supervisors or an email. So that was one of my many experiences with them. Another one was I was trying to share concerns with DOR about, we've already, shared Elsie, we shared her name. So Elsie was overriding, she was overriding recommendations from the AT instructors at the time. She wasn't the director at the time. She was overriding recommendations. Our students were receiving improper equipment because of this. I have four documented students that received improper equipment because of this. I asked, is Elsie certified in in assistive technology? Is she qualified? Does she have any type of certification in this? And come to find out, she didn't. But for whatever reason, she decided that she would overwrite the recommendations, and so that was another issue that I had shared with DOR. They said just go straight to the vendor, but it wasn't fixing the issue. And then it just constantly just all these lies. Again, they lied about my letter. They lied about Spanish speakers or training being available for Spanish speakers. There's all these lies that come out of the center, out of the current director's mouth. I asked about training for one of our students for who's he's gone on to graduate, and he's primarily Spanish speaking, and so I'm asking in the email with DR in the email, is there training available for our Spanish speakers? And she said it's getting taken care of, it's being done, don't worry about it. And I had it confirmed not too long after, maybe not even a week later, that no, there's no training available, or there's not going to be any training available for Spanish speakers for quite some time, or there wasn't any plans on having that. But yeah, so she lied again to DOR that, oh yeah, we have that taken care of, don't worry about it. And our student wasn't able to get training because again there wasn't that an interpreter or someone available to provide that training in Spanish. I asked other centers because I was wondering, how they would respond to me, and they gave me a straightforward answer. Yes, we have some people here that can provide that training in Spanish, or no, we don't. But Elsie just kind of said, no, we got it, or don't worry about it, it's okay. Or she couldn't give me a straight answer. And when I asked who it was, she didn't say. She couldn't tell me who. She just said, don't worry about it, it's being taken care of. And then so with that, there was just so many experiences with our youth. One of our youth, we teach our youth to speak up. I mean, one of the main things is to teach them to advocate for themselves. And whenever our youth started to advocate for himself, he no longer wanted training from the center, and he asked me to help him, write an email. And I did what I could to help him, and made sure they knew that it was coming from him, and that it was his concerns. And they said, well, this isn't good. The counselor at the time and Elsie said, of course they agreed, oh, this isn't good. And in my mind, I'm like, what's not good? He's speaking up for himself. He doesn't want training. Just the way it's going, he doesn't like how it's going. And then the student ended up telling me that they keep emailing him and calling him. And I'm like, guys, he's shared what he wants and what he doesn't want, and he should be allowed to decide for himself. But I don't know. I guess they just don't. The center doesn't like when people advocate for themselves, and that's just been several of my experiences with the center. And again, I just want to reiterate the environment, the toxic environment, the lies that come out of there.
Yeah, I have a question. Do you still have the copy of the email and the letter sent to Elsie?
The first one where they tried using it to get me fired.
Yeah. Do you have
I still-
all the do you have evidence that you have everything? Because I think I was talking to Jennifer regarding go to the grand jury and have them look at it that are, because everything is consistency in here. There's one person out of the whole thing is making everything bad with the client, the staff, the mistreatment of power. The board of director are afraid of her. It's been like a puppet. So for me, from you getting fired, I think you should reapply for your job, and I'll, make a recommendation, get back to your job to the San Joaquin Board of, San Joaquin Education Office of Education, as far as my concern, because
Oh, no, I still have my
it's
job.
a lot of hearsay, it's a lot of
I still have,
hearsay. I'm sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
oh, I'm sorry. I still have my job. Luckily, the supervisors seem to have just ignored it. They had, more important things to deal with.
You're right.
Because again, if they read the letter, they saw that there's nothing wrong with it. So nothing came up of it, but thank goodness it didn't.
So
But yeah,
good.
so I still have my job. So, but they still did it though. They still, went to that length of, you know, emailing the director of special ed even, and other supervisors trying to get me fired. So they still did it.
Okay, well, then I would like you to get a copy of those letter, emailed, any document that you sent to Elsie. Keep that, and then I don't mind getting it. I could make a report, or Jennifer or somebody could be able to write down for the grand jury and see if decide whether or not that they need to be investigated. Because out of everyone, everyone is very consistency on it. With it's nothing changed. Jennifer said the same thing. Bob said the same thing. You say the same thing, and I'm sure Lisa. We're gonna get to Lisa pretty soon. It will be consistency. So I don't think she won't have a chance to last long. And if we keep get what we need to get done, get her out of the office and clean all the people out. But we have to make sure we have find other people to get hired to get the center back in tune for the student that graduate and able to use that survey again. You understand, Miguel? And that's something I'm more concerned about that, So okay, there
Definitely.
anything last before we go to Lisa? Miguel?
No, that was all. I just totally agree with you. We need a center that's welcome and open to all ages, birth to 99, 105, whatever.
Okay.
And exactly, yeah, we need a welcoming and a healthier center.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Miguel. Thank you for your time, your story. Now, Lisa, go ahead. Your turn.
Hi, good afternoon, Doug. Thank you for having all four of us on here, hearing our stories to the public and everything in the eyes. Um, my name is Lisa Rodriguez. I've been blind since birth. I have ocular nerve atrophy and I have RP. For the volunteer, I did volunteer. I was off and on with the center, actually. Um, I'm one of the originals. Besides, there's other adults besides me. Um, I started volunteering with the center, I want to say in 2012. Um, Bonnie at the time was the director, and then I continued volunteer because I actually, but I volunteer for majority everything, helping with the clients and myself, bingo, anything they needed help. Basically, I was a receptionist volunteer. I really enjoyed volunteer as a receptionist. I did a good job. And to my acknowledge myself, I was say, I could do a job like this. Um, I was able to get calls, take them to where they need to be, and transfer calls. And then years later, that's when we end up getting a new director, which is her name is already stated. So at the time, the second director, while I've been volunteering, Michelle Galvin, um, there was an incident that took place a couple of times, and I just let it go. But one of the recent times when, because they would move the receptionist desk because there was a little side door. They had a front door on Flora. Actually, where I volunteer is 130 West Flora, I should say, and they have two doors that you can enter, and they would move their desk often. So it ended up being in the middle of the by the lobby. And one day they had a guest speaker, pyramid speaking chiropractor. And we have many, many disabilities that are visually impaired, hearing impaired. Um, all types of disability with visually impaired. One day I get a phone call, and it was a client, and she couldn't hear me, and I was speaking awfully loud. And Michelle Galvin got upset and says, "Do you know we have a guest?" And I looked at her and said, "Yes." And I was trying to explain. She did not hear me. So I did get upset. So, so I went to Sarah, because at the time Sarah Bennett was the person to go to handle volunteers. And I told her that I don't get paid to get yelled at. I don't need this. You guys need me more than I need this. So I am done, and tell Michelle apologize to me. I will return back to volunteering. And even though I was upset, I didn't stop helping my peers, my friends. I would still continue helping volunteering. But when it came to like the phone and stuff, I didn't do all the other. I'll go out my way to help them. They did need people, but I didn't go do that. So I never got an apology. And at the new place, I didn't volunteer also for the reception either. I did wanted a job, but I didn't want to go through all the process that I see staff members being belittled by, even in front of clients. Like, you see they're stressed out, and just because we can't see, we could hear it in their voices. And I didn't want that as a job, and go home and like, oh, I dread the next day going to work. No, a lot of these staff members and volunteers, um a lot of volunteers and stuff, they left because of this situation, and I didn't want to leave peers and friends in without extra help, because I enjoyed doing bingo, playing dominoes, all the extra curriculums, activities, ceramics, which is none of this can be offered in this closed pandemic. They're still using. There's places that are open, and there's restrictions, and you know I can't say what the volunteer is like now, because I like I said, I stopped doing it in 2016, I think. Um, so I I wish we're not trying to tear down a center. We're trying to have better management for all, like Miguel Venegas and Bob and Jennifer saying. We want a center, a healthy center. Now we're clients, staff members, volunteers, guests are getting belittled or being embarrassed in front of people that just walked in the door. And I don't think that's right. I could go on and on. There's many, many stories. Like I said, I've been there when I was little. Um, this center is totally changed. It should have stood on 130 West Florida. With the new center, they keep adding on, and there's no point. Why are you adding on to the building if you have no clients that are attending these, you know, so-called hybrid um, places like that? It's not okay. So I don't want to take too much time. Like I said, I there's many stories that a lot of us have, and we could go on and on. But thank you, Doug.
Okay, one last question, Lisa. You said that there's a comparison, the difference between when you started off and you went, and how toxic was when you were volunteering, what was the situation? Did it in front of people? Did it where a lot of people?
Yes, they did it in front of. It didn't matter who they did it in front of. They would follow people. They didn't care. They didn't. Some of us knew who not to trust and who to trust. When I started noticing more and more later in the years when I was volunteering, and it got worse when I decided to quit. And I quit because I didn't want to be like, sorry, Bob. I didn't want to be like Bob and get myself sick. And I understand he has to support a family. And to myself, I'm glad I volunteer first before I put
Right.
myself in that, where I can get a health, go in the hospital or get health issues. And me myself today, the only health problems I have is just sciatica. That's wear and tear in the body. But I don't want like physically health problem, mental health.
Right.
That
Okay, let me ask you this. So you feel right now you lost your sense of community now? Now you have nowhere to go when
correct. Yes, I like I said, miss helping everybody, getting to know, especially when they took youth away from us, youth children. They need to
Right.
know there's adult, young adults, senior citizens of age they can communicate with. So it's not the same compared to when I was little. They would have take us swimming, take us to Santa Cruz, take us,
Right, right.
skating, and they had programs after school for us because like I said, I was there when they did some of the programs. I did it with my VI teacher and my O&M instructor, and they would take us once a month to the blind center, and they would teach us daily living skills, and we got to meet other children, our teenagers, our age, and we all understood our different districts came to the center.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Lisa, for your story. And yeah, see, it's kind of like everything it's being very consistent thing with the story that you guys had brought to our attention regarding to the board of director, the director of the Center for Community of the Blind, and it's very consistent. They cannot hide under a rock too long, knowing that we're constantly going to be bombarded with protests and stories after them. They're going to have to give up sometime. They're going to have to give up because they ain't going to lose that fight, because we're going to win that fight for you guys in order to get this thing done. Because you need to have that sense of community, and we need clients who are graduating to be able to live in a successful society. You know what I mean?
And blindness is not going to go away. All type of blindness of hearing, it's like, where is it? Are they supposed to go? Call the peers, and you got to reach out to strangers. And it's like, a lot of these people are lost in words and trends, and like, where do we send everybody? Because like I have a mother-in-law that she don't even know this. She gets people that get on Uber, and she don't know where. She normally sends them to me and Jennifer Gass, because she actually helped with the protest when she was available, and she doesn't want to send them and give them the center's number because she already knows how toxic they are.
Oh my God. Okay, thank you, Lisa. Now we're gonna go back to Jennifer to make a last comment, and we'll go from there. All right, go ahead, Jennifer.
Well, thank you, Doug. So I know you've heard some great examples of how things haven't been so great, but originally under Bonnie at the old center, there were a lot more social and recreational programs and opportunities. It was still a toxic environment because that was a very abusive personality. I started at the center in 99. In 2003, all I had heard for years was how, this person was mistreating, speaking badly about people, accusations of financial mismanagement and impropriety. So I got a couple staff that had just quit and another client. And I went to finally, kind of force my way into a board of directors meeting because we had no contact with the board, and we shared those concerns. And the president of the board said, give me 6 months. I'm going to be the director. I can help make a change. And I thought, I'm not just going to sit here complaining, or people complaining will make a change. So, I was shy, I was young, but we did it because we wanted that change. And then that man became director when we finally thought, okay, he's going to make a change and put, Bonnie under his thumb and maybe work the board. Then he got popped with kiddie porn on his computer. There went that hope. And it's just part of the type of people, they have poor quality people interacting with the blind. There's low morale. And we finally, several of our staff, when I became a staff in 2009, wrote letters to the board, and we had EEOC complaints drafted because Bonnie was telling us all blind people care about is food, money, and sex. Remember that when you make the calendar. Or, well, you guys pride yourself on being so independent. Why can't you use this time clock that she bought that was totally inaccessible and had multi-layer screens? Just this constant abuse. And the board did not want to get rid of her. They resent us for having to get rid of her. instead of having her investigated or fired, they left us under her for months while they grudgingly started a search for a director. And she stayed there after hours shredding records and God knows what else. She had attempted to bring in a mediator, but that person came and showed us the contract, because when we bared our souls to this individual thinking that they were trying to improve the job environment there, the lady was asking her to report on us, like Bob said about the support group, so that we could be targeted, intimidated, fired, or pressed out instead of to deal with those concerns in a healthy fashion. So finally, they did let her go with a nice retirement package and hired Michelle as the director. And it was just worse and worse and worse. You know, I was physically ill working there from 2009 to 2017, doing marketing and outreach. I couldn't stand being the face to legitimize the center that was so rotten on the inside. People see me, they see Joni Bauer and think that's the Blind Center. But they didn't know what the environment was like for people to go there. And there are good people, you know, there've been bright lights, there've been some good services, but on the whole, it needs to change. That board president has been here over a dozen years, over Bonnie, over Michelle, over Elsie, who was hired over our great objections. And we have formed this Stockton Blind Alliance. It's not just for the National Federation of the Blind. It's not just for anyone in the community. It's for everyone who wants to see a quality blind center and services here, and who wants to see equal treatment, equal opportunity for the blind, so that we can thrive, so that we can mentor all generations, that we aren't seen as someone that might infect the youth with our positive philosophy of blindness. I mean, we have our own blind groups in the community that are strong, that are resources, that are helping people, because we have developed that because there was a need, but we're not getting paid to do that. The center is getting paid to do that, and they need to actually provide those services. That needs to be an environment you could send your child or your grandma into, and not think if she spoke up or had a different opinion that she's going to be bullied and shut down and harassed and intimidated. That is not how a center for the blind should operate. They are supposed to be serving the blind. We are supposed to be at every level in that organization with our input being valued. We are Stockton Blind Alliance with a Facebook page and Twitter at Stockton Blind Alliance, and a phone number 209-200-8589. If you want to hear more of our stories or share your own, if you want to share in our advocacy, we want blind services here, and this leadership needs to go. We want a new board president. We want to be involved in a search for and the vetting of a quality executive director that respects the blind. And we want an investigation into all this past misconduct. And we want an independent forensic audit of how these monies have been used to best serve the blind. The fiduciary responsibility of this board of directors was not to get rid of that building, if that was even a legal sale, and continue to rent this cramped office to be shady. They are not transparent, they are not accountable, and they do not have appropriate responsiveness. They are ignoring us. They have continued to ignore us. They discontinued the transportation program in October of 2018 at a meeting with no warning. That's when our groups began negotiating, trying to meet with them for years and years, and finally had to go public last year. Then in May of this year, they had a little fake open annual meeting on Zoom of 8 to 10 minutes. For the third year in a row, they denied the accommodation of a woman in her 80s who they said, wait, we have blind representation. She's our client board representative. They have a conference call system, but they wouldn't use that to do the meeting. They insisted on using Zoom and denied her for the third year of a row being phoned in for that meeting. So that, and then hearing about Bob's story, that was just the cap of how many blind people, how many sighted people, how many volunteers have left in a mass exodus because of the environment there. It needs to change. I mean, blind people have a 70% unemployment rate. And for someone that has no job to go to leave really says something. It speaks volumes. That happened to Bob, that happened to me. It's happened to many, many others, and it needs to stop. So we are continuing to protest. Our 13th public protest in front of their building will be this Thursday, on August 18th from 9:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. And we will not be ignored. We are not going away. They have not given one sign or hint that they care what we're saying or that they have any intention of listening or changing. So please stand with us and help amplify our voices for these much needed changes. It's a long-standing problem. We want to be part of that solution, and we need your help. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer, for stepping up, and also Bob, Miguel, and Lisa for sharing your story, because I think that's something that the public need to hear. Your side of the story, not just one-sided, and go to the news media and then it's only personnel issue. It's not a personnel issue. It's a client issue. It's a staff issue. It's a community issue. It's everything that across the border that are not being aware and being ignored. So it's time to step up and really understand that we need to be radical to make sure that Elsie and the board of director are to leave, and hopefully the state do not grant them their fund again. I think they renew their license every year. I hope they deny their license because they're not even active doing anything. They're just barely collecting the money and keeping to themselves and really not doing any work to it to collect to me. So I just hope people who have evidence, paperwork, document, things like that to put in paper, and then hopefully we could have it filed to the grand jury, and hopefully they could do something about it and see if there any justice. They're the judge right there. They could figure out what really happened, So thank you so much for sharing, everyone. Have a wonderful day, and I'll good luck tomorrow. Make sure you get the bottle. Make sure you get the bottle. Thursday. I'm sorry, Thursday with water and something to freshen up. Okay. So
Yeah, we're turning up the heat. We'll make sure we have plenty of water, Doug, and thank you for your support and encouragement and giving us a voice on the Voice of Stockton.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
God
you.
bless you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Have a good one, everyone.
Take care.
Thank you all for your support.
Yes.
Okay, everyone, take care, and I'll see you
Bye,
soon.
Doug.